Childhood friends Cliff Prowse and Derek Lee have decided to venture around the world to film their travel web series Ends of the Earth. The trip is Derek's last wish, as he has an AVM, which could cause his death at any moment. Cliff and Derek stop in Barcelona to meet with old friends Edo and Zach, currently on tour with their band Unalaska. After their initially uneventful stay, Derek picks up a woman by the name of Audrey after telling her about his AVM. Later that night, the three burst into Derek's hotel room as a prank, only to discover Derek bleeding and semi-conscious, and no sign of Audrey. Though Derek doesn't remember anything about the attack, they assume that Audrey planned to rob him. Cliff and Derek part ways with Edo and Zach as they depart for Italy. Upon arriving, Derek passes out and sleeps for an entire day. The next afternoon the two visit the restaurant where Derek suddenly projectile vomits his meal. Later, at a vineyard, Derek has an extreme reaction to sunlight, and is forced to flee inside, covered in burns. Back at the hotel room, Cliff attempts to calm Derek down, only for Derek to explosively punch clean through the corner of a stone wall with his bare hands. Over the next few days, Derek displays superhuman strength, speed and agility. Cliff attempts to persuade Derek to stop their trip and go home, but Derek continues to insist that there is nothing wrong with him. As Derek grows sicker due to not being able to eat, he finally agrees to go to a hospital. On the way, the two are almost hit by a car. Derek fights with the angry driver and passenger, completely overpowering them both. Then he licks their blood off his hand. Cliff correctly deduces that Derek has contracted vampirism, but researching it online proves unhelpful. Derek first tries drinking blood obtained from a butcher, and then kills and drinks the blood from someone's pet piglet, only to vomit out the blood on both occasions. Realizing that Derek needs human blood, he and Cliff attempt to rob an ambulance, which proves unsuccessful, and they retreat back to the hotel. Derek enters a catatonic state, and Cliff decides to cut his own arm to give Derek some human blood, but discovers that Derek has escaped. Cliff attempts to find him, only to be ambushed and killed by the completely inhuman Derek. Upon regaining his senses and realizing that he has killed his friend, Derek shoots himself in the head with a shotgun. Shortly after, however, Derek's head heals with only slight scarring, and he is faced with the fact that he cannot die or be killed. Soon after, Interpol agents attempt to take Derek into custody, forcing him to escape in daylight. Carrying only Cliff's camera bag, he manages to get back to France and hides in an abandoned warehouse in Paris. Reviewing the footage of his meeting with Audrey, he realizes that her cell phone might be at the hotel where she bit him. After retrieving the cell phone, Derek texts every one of the numbers on the contact list in order to try and lure someone to him. Eventually, he gets a reply from an unknown man offering to meet in person. Derek hides and tails him back to a squalid building. In the man's apartment, he finds a blood-stained saw and photographs, one of them showing an old black and white photograph of Audrey. Suddenly the man ambushes Derek from behind, but his superior strength enables him to overpower and restrain his attacker. The man is revealed to be Maurice, an acquaintance of Audrey's who is bitter that Audrey turned Derek into a vampire but left him human. Derek sets up a live stream camera showing Maurice tied up, in order to draw Audrey in. Maurice nevertheless warns Derek to leave before Audrey arrives and kills him. Suddenly, however, the apartment is stormed by the GIGN and Derek is shot to near death before entering a frenzy state. After slaughtering the whole squad, Derek escapes once again. Audrey finally comes to Derek in the abandoned building, where she attacks him and tells him not to approach her or Maurice ever again, before suddenly relinquishing this approach, telling Derek that he is not feeding properly. She tells the distraught Derek that there is no cure for his condition, adding that she would have cured herself if there were one. To which Derek responds by furiously lashing out at her. The two fight, but Derek is easily overpowered by the more experienced Audrey. Audrey urges him to feed every 4 to 5 days, lest he become inhuman again and turns into something much worse, and starts to kill indiscriminately and daily. Audrey tells him that he cannot choose not to kill, but he can choose whom to kill, and explains that she chose Derek because she knew he was dying and thought she was being kind. Later, Derek posts his final entry online, in which he explains that he can never contact his family again. He thereafter is shown filming himself feeding on a man who had videos on his cell phone of a sexual assault on a child. In a mid-credits scene, somewhere in Italy, a teenage boy and 2 teenage girls are seen sneaking into a swimming pool, only to be attacked. The boy gets away, and with his camera running, finds the bloodied corpse of one of the girls, before Cliff, now also a vampire, appears and attacks him.